Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach. Yesterday, while I was at work, I was thinking about the Hall of Fame class, and I was thinking about the pros and cons about putting the factions into the Hall of Fame. I was mainly thinking about the Four Horsemen going in this year, and just realizing that they're not going to be putting Arn Anderson in as a solo wrestler. They're going to put him in as part of this Four Horsemen, and I really feel that Arn Anderson isn't the guy that honestly deserves to go into the Hall of Fame for what he's done for while he was wrestling and now what he's done as an agent and a producer backstage, really helping out, being one of the main guys that WWE leans on to put these matches together that's out there. And I just feel like if they're gonna put factions in there, that opens up a whole new door of things that they could put in there. Obviously, from there that would lead to DX. Obviously, Shawn Michaels and Triple H. They'll be able to go into the Hall of Fame for a second time and be able to lead a class once Hunter's able to be put in. Then you'll go on and one day after Scott Hall and Kevin Nash get put in, you can put in the original NWO, and you can have Hogan, Hall, and Nash up there lead a class, and they'll be able to headline another one. And I was going from there. I said obviously you'll be able to put Evolution in there, and then I was going through and. Obviously, Ric Flair's already in the Hall of Fame. Triple H is already ready for the Hall of Fame. Randy Orton's probably had a career that's Hall of Fame ready. If not, he's just one of those WWE talents that that's gonna go straight in there unless he gets busted for something or ODs or something. It's something really crazy is gonna have to happen for Randy not to be able to go in. And that left me with Batista. And Batista's a guy that I was on the fence whether if I was to put this guy in the Hall of Fame or not. And I went out there on Twitter and I asked, and I got a whole bunch of responses from a whole bunch of people that were honestly about 50-50. Some were overwhelming, saying put him in, and some were like his run wasn't long enough. And I was just really like to me, Batista's a guy who didn't start training at the same age like DDP. DDP is like the one guy that made it that I think started training later than anybody else. DDP started training in 1991 at the age of 35, which is unheard of. I tried to look around on Batista. The only thing I can find is that he started training around the age of 30. That would have made him, by the time he won the title at WrestleMania from Triple H, it would have made him about 35. Um, and going on the road. And you can tell from the way Batista's career went that we wish that he would have been a little bit younger to be able to go out there. It's not that his looks were bad, just that his body fell apart. About every year he got hurt. He had to miss a significant part. He missed a couple WrestleManias, and they built a large fan base around him, and they pushed him as the guy that broke free from Evolution. Hunter put him over like he's put over nobody before. Let him beat him 3 times in a row. Once on a WrestleMania, once in a Hell in the Cell. He went on from there, and he went over to SmackDown and was sort of the main guy on SmackDown. He won the tag titles with Rey Mysterio. Had a good run with that with the "We Miss You Eddie" tour, whatever they called that. Um, he had a huge feud with Undertaker. That was probably one of the best feuds of. I think that was 2007. They had that awesome WrestleMania match that I put in my review the other day. Probably should have closed it. The show with Undertaker winning the Rumble that year and how much they put behind that. For some reason, they went with a different direction. I think that was Cena and Shawn that year. But what I always remember about Batista is the way that he went out. I think he went out stronger than Vince has put anybody out ever before. I mean, and even at that, he was losing matches. He showed up the Elimination Chamber. He beat John Cena after the fact and walked out with the title. That was Vince McMahon sort of handed it to him. That led to the WrestleMania 26 feud, and then they went all the way to I think he was over the limit when he finally FU'd him off the card. And then Cena showed up the next week. Or I apologize. Then Batista showed up on Raw the next week, went down in a wheelchair and quit and cried in the middle of the ring, which honestly was a pretty damn awesome way to go out. Yeah, some people look at it like it was the way of WWE sort of embarrassing him or trying to make him look bad on the way out. The rumor was that he was trying to become a mixed martial arts guy to get in the ring and see what he could do. Um, I don't know if you start training that late for wrestling to cross over to MMA is gonna be a hell of a time. He almost got the deal done with Strikeforce twice. The UFC merger, I guess, sort of killed that for you. But everybody really wishes that Batista would come back one more time. But the way he says the product is right now, he's not getting any younger. I don't think we're ever gonna really see Batista come back. I mean, people were really hoping that he was gonna be the guy that Chris Jericho ended up being. That was pretty much a shot in the dark. I didn't see that was going to happen. He just really doesn't like the way the PG era is, and doesn't feel that Batista fits in. So hopefully the guy made enough money to live off the rest of his life, or the video games and other stuff that pays him off. Hopefully that can do it for him. But I really wish Batista would come back one more time. But honestly, my gut feeling is that I wonder if this guy was only there for 7 years. And 5 of those years he was on top. 2 of those he was in that undercard. He was working with Devon, and then he was working his way up with Evolution. He almost didn't even get that Evolution spot. It was heavily rumored that Maven might get it, or that kid from WCW, Jin Drag, might get it. It was I mean, a couple of different people that it could have gone to. It was always known it was going to be Triple H, Flair, and Orton. They were the staples. It was sort of the Batista was the one guy that they threw in there, and when I first saw the guy, I thought it was a gamble. I thought it was a shot in the dark. I thought no way in the world it was going to work. Even when they put him over winning the Rumble and they put him over at Mania, I didn't think he was going to last that long. But he had a pretty well, effect on wrestling, and I think he was the leader of SmackDown. So I would put this guy uh, in the Hall of Fame. I didn't know that it was going to be that much of a controversial decision. I guess to a lot of people, I guess he's sort of like the Miz. You either love him or you hate him. And I don't really think that I love him that much. I just, he was always just sort of there. And when I've been rewatching these WrestleManias back, the one with um, Undertaker really blew my mind. That was a really damn good match. But then there's other ones where he fought Umago and that match really wasn't that great. And then there's another one that he was hurt and he just sort of showed up and did an interview in the back. And I was like, man, if he wouldn't have came and done that interview, I wouldn't even realize that he wasn't there. So one day I do hope to see him go into the Hall of Fame on his own. I think he sort of does deserve it, for pushing through and going through it. But overall, I wish that just Big Dave would just come back and just sort of like do whatever they say they're gonna do. He might even love if he came in and he was wrestling right now when the Rock's there. They sort of like bend the rules a little bit on what they're able to do, and he might be able to do some stuff that's not PG right now, but the second The Rock leaves, that's all going to change back to the way it was before. So, basically, all in all, Batista Hall of Fame. I give him the thumbs up, but let's see what everybody else thinks.